The bold Bitcoin boys are back in town. I have Filip, known as Yugocana on X. He is one of my favorite shit posters. I follow what I mean, even like, I don't know, seems like years ago, but I just loved your content because it would flow with real based and strong pointed stuff. You're Bosnian-Canadian Bitcoin maximalist at Bold Bitcoin, a public speaker, a storyteller, a war refugee turned entrepreneur with experience inside government. You blend history and spiritual insight, geopolitical awareness into one of the most unique voices in the Bitcoin world, known as both a white pillar and a Christ pillar. You emphasize responsibility, sovereignty, hope through faith, and a famous motto is stack sats and give all glory to God. It captures the basically the essence of your mission. And so you've been on podcasts, conferences, media appearances, sharing your journey from surviving conflict to discovering Bitcoin, and then Bitcoin being the path out of fiat slavery. We're going to get into a lot of that and more. So you like to inspire people that seek meaning, independence, and truth in a world that can feel like it's collapsing, and then basically orange pilling people, pointing them to Bitcoin and to a virtuous life and to ultimately to God. So welcome, Yugocana. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, and Merry Christmas to everybody. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that we can have this talk. Words are powerful. Words cast spells. So the things that we discuss, they will echo in eternity, and everybody that's listening to us, they will be part of that discussion. So every discussion is important, especially in these days where our media is totally censored, where they're just parroting spin lines and nonsensical things. Bitcoin is mathematical truth, and words that we say, if you say the truth, are the truth. So it's a very important thing to do in the big, idea of things.
Yeah, in order to say or write down words, you have to spell them, and spelling is like casting the spells. Words being, they basically, I've heard of the idea of energy flows where your attention goes, and your attention, what you pay attention to and where you put your energy is reciprocal. So you're
Absolutely.
At a meta level, you're casting spells into the world as you live and promote energy into the world, into the universe.
Absolutely. And our journey of each of us that is here is a personal journey. Our relation is a one-to-one relation to God, which is our Father. And what Jesus teaches us is that our Father, God, will give you anything you ask of him. Anything. He says that in the Gospels. He says you can ask anything. If you believe in me, meaning Jesus, you can ask the Father anything. And when you think about it, if God created the universe, and if he created the black holes and the planet and the galaxy and the stars and the beautiful and the small and the big, and the complexity of everything, what is to him to give you the little thing that us mere humans can ask of him? Or everything is a fraction of nothing to this entity, which is our Father God.
Yeah, the day after Christmas, I had a podcast with Adam Semeka with Mana Bitcoin.
I love that guy.
And so we talked about his faith in all of this, and I read that in my family we have a tradition, just kind of being mindful of the spirit of Christmas, and so let me put it up here. We will often read Luke chapter 2, verse 1 through 14 to 20, and it's interesting how that goes. Okay, here it is.
I love to
So it starts with taxation of all things. That in those days, Caesar Augustus issued a decree that a census should be taken of the Roman world. Now, I think we read out of the King James version, but it starts and continues with taxes and money when Joseph went to Bethlehem and all that started. Even way back then, we had a conversation, Adam and I did, about ultimately Christmas, the spirit and meaning of Christmas, but then how through the ages, money has always, and taxation has always been a tool that sovereigns use on people. And so similar to, Jesus having opened the door for many people to free themselves, Bitcoin has done that as well on a technological level on the money.
Absolutely.
So there's a parallel there where the mentality behind and the spirit of Satoshi and Bitcoin, along with your Christian faith, and they go hand in hand. Would you say your Christianity basically has kept your compass straight when it comes to Bitcoin? And also, when we go down shitcoin ideas years ago, to have the values to basically get reoriented and say, no, what's the core value behind this?
Yeah.
Not all the shit coins.
Well, on that point, I mean, money is so important because Bitcoin is mathematical truth. So it's money based on truth. Fiat money is based on lies and usury. And what did Jesus do to the money changers? He went there and he destroyed it. And what the people need to understand is that Bitcoin is not just a preference or an investment. Okay, I'm going to make some money. There's many other ways that you can make money more quickly in a legal way than Bitcoin. Bitcoin gives you your time, and it's also one of the two systems that exists. There's no more systems. There's the Bitcoin system, and there's the other system, which comes from the time of Jesus. I mean, this whole system has been invented before King Solomon. They are the ones that invented the global trades and, the lending the money. So this is not a new system. This is dark Babylonian magic. This is some old bad juju. We take it for granted because we use it every day. We're born into the system. And I like to rip on boomers on my X, but the boomers, it's not their fault. They were born into this system too, and the people before them, they were born into the system. So that's why I say that we are on a global animal farm, and Bitcoin has basically been a technology, a game-changing technology that came and that ruptured the space-time, the fabric of space-time that united now our physical world to that other realm where this computation is happening, right? And where it ultimately leads to truth, and the truth leads to God. And when I say I'm a Christian, I consider myself first a Christian above everything else. So when I talk to my American friends, like I'm a Christian, but to me, like there's no Christianity is not a religion among choices of religion. I don't see it that way. Christianity for me is the way. And I think that Christianity has existed way before Jesus Christ, because as it has been foretold, his coming by the prophets before him, And I'm sure that in India and in China, they have had contact with the true God, but it might not be, it might not work out the same way it worked to us, because obviously Jesus was a major thing, because now you had the most perfect man since Adam that came into this earth to give himself as a sacrifice, so as the Lamb of God, at the same spot where God forbade Abraham to sacrifice his son. So he sent his son on the animal farm to give us the good news, to talk to us about money, about be good to one another, about love, about all of these things. Before the humans before Jesus were different. Not many people talk about this, but before Jesus, if you had a beautiful wife and a bountiful house, I could go inside, kill you, steal your wife and your sheep, and I mean, people would not be too upset about it. They would say, yeah, but that guy was stronger. He came with his brothers, and they just took what was theirs to take, Jesus brought love and help another. He literally washed the feet of his disciples, knowing that he is God that became man, So all of these things are connected because ultimately Bitcoin is about freedom. Bitcoin gives you your time back to do other things, not to be stuck in this rat race, not to be stuck in this hamster wheel that is the fiat money system, in which you cannot win. The system is designed to destroy you, and to steal the best of your years, and to like steer you away. Yeah,
there's a picture you like.
yeah, that's Jesus, all right.
There we go. He's upending the tables, and that's the parallel with Satoshi and the divine upending. This what I see as being a slow, steady. You could call it a bloodless. Oh, geez, my camera is doing this thing here. Hold on.
It's good. You were gonna say something. I loved it. The effects. It was like special effects.
Okay, I got a new camera, and apparently it's got some smart AI and whatever. And when I do certain motions, it wants to like respond, so it'll zoom in on my nose and all this. Anyway, my point being, Bitcoin is like it's like the most bloodless revolution we've ever had. Exactly. I think that the powers that be are slowly, steadily realizing they can't stop it, can't control it. It's out of their hands. They can try to like wall it in where they can and like shepherd you into certain directions around it so you don't take self-custody or run a node or whatever. But they can't stop it.
Or invent 30,000 other coins and call them all crypto to mix people up, you know?
Yeah. It's all crypto. It's a razzle-dazzle game of fiat number go up.
When you look at FTX example, that was one of the promoters of this crypto scams, you know? This is Washington money. This is deep state money that was funding it. So they saw Bitcoin as something that they could not destroy. So instead of attacking you or saying you can't do it, because obviously the American people would say, no, fuck you, I'm going to do it, you know? Mm-hmm. Well, what they did is that they just invented all of these garbage coins, you know, like idiots went inside.
The more complicated it is, and like, it's so distracting. Don't you just want to have number go up? That's all it's about. Number go up.
Exactly.
And if America can get a strategic reserve, it'll save us. I don't see them figuring that out. They talk strategic reserve. Now, look, Cynthia Loomis is like departing us now. I think whatever they're thinking in terms of a strategic reserve is becoming diluted with shitcoinery. You know, I don't think Trump is able to really fully understand it. He has advisors. His kids are going off on the side tracks. And whatever reserve we have, it's basically just keeping what we stole or procured through prosecution. I don't see them being able to undig the hole they've built for themselves as they continue to have to print money and corner themselves economically. I think the game is over. It's just running on vapors that they keep adding zeros to the end of. Like their game is up.
And you know, about Trump, because I am an Americanophile. I always loved the United States, and I understand deeply the soul of the Americans. Like, I studied the Civil War. I know what you people are made of since the revolution. So America is the new Rome. You're the shiny hope on the hill, you know, and I'm very sad to see it being hijacked, you know. And by the way, Trump, I wanted to show your public this. Before
you got him to sign it.
2 times.
Twice.
Before he became a president, you know, he was one of the 15 candidates in the primaries. Mm-hmm. I said to my girlfriend at the time, Trump's a boomer. Boomers go out to lunch at dinner time. Let's go to the Trump Tower and let's eat a steak there. There's a steakhouse. And when he goes down on lunchtime, I'm going to ask him to sign my book. She's like, you're crazy. This is never going to work. And guess what? It worked. So I saw him there. I was like, Mr. President, you're going to win this primary. Jeb Bush was the favorite at the time, you know, and he was one of the 15 in the primary. And I was like, you're going to win this primary. You're going to become the next president of the United States, sir. Congratulations. And he asked me, but why do you want me to sign your big book twice? I said, well, if the times are rough, I might sell it on eBay. So 2 signatures are worth more than 1. And he laughed and he just gave me another lazy one, you know.
That's funny.
So why I'm telling you this is because I was always cheering for Trump, you know, and now to see him betray the Americans, because the reality, how I see it now, is there's nobody for Americans. The whole system, since they stole the money printer, they have bought everybody that's for sale. And sadly, 99% of Washington was for sale, either through blackmail, through money, through all kinds of gigs, or just people wanting to be cool and fit in. I won 3 federal elections in the Canadian politics. I know how politicians are. And these people just want to get reelected, you know, and they want to be the cool kid, the popular guy. And these people have no fucking idea what's going on in the big scheme of things, you know. So now, America does not have a sitting president. The last president that America had was JFK. He was killed. And since then, the country has been hijacked by powers that are not in America. So the American Republic has become the American Empire. And at the time the America was a republic, it was looking for its own self-interest and the protection of its citizens. Since it became an empire, it is now protecting this class of people that have no nationality. These people, they don't care about us. They see us as cattle, They see us as meat pieces to have our organs, our blood, our taxes, whatever, So I don't see the fiat money as money anymore. I see it as something very, very nefarious, in which I do not want, insidious, nefarious, evil, in which I do not want to participate anymore. So this is what it's all about. Bitcoin is not just, okay, you're gonna have a great profit and the numbers are gonna go up. Of course they are, because if you look at the hash rate, it has gone up exponentially. People are adopting it. Even in villages in Congo now, you have people selling on Lightning because they understood that you don't need to have, the credit card machine and to Lightning, baby, just use it. But Bitcoin is like, when iPhone came out. At first, people had flip phones, Blackberries, this and that. And then when iPhone came, some people said, I don't need a smartphone. Why do I need it? I only make phone calls,
Fast it doesn't have buttons.
Yeah, it doesn't have my buttons. Fast forward 1 year later, everybody had smartphones. Why? Because it's superior technology. You can now have Google Maps, you can pay your stuff, you can have Uber Eats. Well, Bitcoin is superior monetary technology. So it's apex money. It's the soundest money that was ever created by man, and it can never be recreated because there will never be a space like the one that Satoshi had where nobody knew what a cryptocurrency was, and that the roots can go deep in. And now there's many of us in all positions of powers, some working for the cabal, some working against it, some being professors, some being podcasters, all kinds of people now that understood that, listen, the path to freedom is by using this technology. So it's like gunpowder, but in a financial, pacific way, non-violent way. You don't need, but because even violence, violence is stupid in many ways. First, unless you're defending, and you are in a situation where, it's your life or another life, that, of course, that violence is always justified. But in general, even if you do some grand thing and you kill a bunch of people, it's not going to change fucking anything. This is the Leviathan. It has 1 million heads, It's going to buy a new asshole to be the president the next day, and it doesn't change anything. But Bitcoin, it does change something. Because my family now, my clan, and the people around me now, we're fucking Bitcoiners, okay? So not only you have a Second Amendment, not only you have a First Amendment and the rest of the Constitution that they don't respect since the Patriot Act and even before, but now you have this piece of technology that encodes your freedom, and they can put you in jail, they can kill you, but they cannot steal your Bitcoin. So your clan has a
rule.
Yeah. So that's the power of it,
Yeah, I think, Americans, I'll joke here, but Americans often know their geography from whatever country we're invading. And I think through what you said, I think of, Iraq, Libya, whatever other country we went into. First order of business is get the gold. Second order of business, get them on the central bank, ship them a pallet of worthless cash, do the money laundering thing. And so that's been like an MO for every country that we have, that we basically we consider a threat, and then we take over and control, but it gets them right into the banking system.
Yeah.
Trump was elected as basically a populist candidate. And when you look at left and right, I mean, by hook and crook, tooth and nail, he was tried to be stopped. But then he gets in, and it becomes like, Epstein who? And I was like, what is going on here? It's like, it's another level to all this. And it reminds me that, we're animals on an animal farm. We're a resource to be extracted from. The escape hatch is Bitcoin.
And Jesus.
And
Jesus and Bitcoin.
Your faith, yes.
Yeah, your faith and Bitcoin.
Yeah, and so you can save yourself and avoid all that. Now you've worked in politics before, and you've been in the system in that regard. But I sometimes feel like there is no political solution anymore. It's done. Is there still a political solution, you think?
Well, listen, how I see it is no, you cannot fix it through politics because a corrupt system will never fix itself. But I think that we should still occupy every lever of power that is possible to occupy because Bitcoin will get us rich. Everybody's going to be richer. Like our community, the Bitcoiners, we're going to get exponentially more important as the time goes on, you know. And so we need to occupy every lever of power to destroy the system from inside and from outside because it has to be done too. And I have one as a co-director of campaign 3 electoral campaigns in Canada. In Canada, how it works is there's 338 ridings, and whoever has the most of these ridings that wins as the member of parliament, they get to found the government and to become the government. So I worked on the legalization of marijuana, and I'm very proud of that. That's something that was only possible through politics because 90% of criminal cases of Canada were simple possession of marijuana. So imagine the judges, the lawyers, the cost, and the kids that were losing their future. So this was done through politics. So I can tell you with certainty that it can be done through politics. But the big system, like dismantling the Fed, dismantling the Bank of International Settlements, dismantling Israel, dismantling the EU, dismantling the NATO, dismantling all of these fucking institutions that are literally bleeding us to death. And when I say us, I mean Christians. They're destroying our churches, importing foreigners by mass. They're making money off it too. Like they will import 50,000 Somalians in a city that has 500 Americans, and they will make the money off importing these people, off their misery. They will make the money, and then they will go and juice the state to pay them to keep these people there to destroy your city. So it's all corrupt, you know. So the only thing that saves the world is America. And the only thing that saves America, how I see it now, is a new continental Congress with a well-regulated militia. That's the only thing. And if they throw nukes on American cities, which might happen, which they say openly now, they invoke the Samson option, so be it. We'll be like in fucking Mad Max and we'll smoke them out of their fucking caves, you know? But that's the reality, because if we go, we can't continue like this, you know? This cannot go on because they're poisoning our food. They're poisoning us from the fucking skies. They're poisoning our minds with their bullshit propaganda, where they have transgenderism and all of this homo bullshit. So, like, the Gen Z, they understand that. So I place my faith a lot in the Gen Z because they are the generation that will not be fucked around. You know, they understand that there's nothing to gain for them in the whole of this. You know, we have been bamboozled. You a little bit more, me still. We are the last generation because COVID was the big veil opener. Like COVID lifted the fucking veil, and we saw them for the fucking pedophiles they are. You know, so now COVID. By the way, they made $4 trillion off it. Trillions. People have no idea how much money this is.
Yeah, it's hard to get your mind around.
This money makes no sense. This means that we're all working for nothing. All the money you're saving is worthless, and it's all going to shit. So Bitcoin is not like an option. Bitcoin is the only option.
Yeah. I've got a funny thing here I'll throw up real quick.
Exactly.
You mentioned a well-regulated militia. I've got a T-shirt I made here years ago. If I can see it.
I love it. Yes.
Satoshi's militia.
Absolutely.
Because there's, there's like Satoshi's army, and then it's like, okay, what's more decentralized and local than an army? You want your militia, Satoshi's militia.
I love militia because I think that every city should be a city-state, and every city-state should have his own militia. And then, like a country like America should have its own city-states working together in a global vision. But the sovereignty should stop at the city. Because what the fuck does an asshole in Washington know about your rural little town in Minnesota or in Ohio, you know? Like, they don't fucking go there. They don't know what's going on. So why should they decide? So the economy under a Bitcoin standard should stay local. So if your town is mineral rich, well, use Bitcoin to exploit your minerals and become even richer. And then we can compete between each other and have football teams and have cookouts and who has the best chili, you know? Because right now, the central government is sucking the blood out of everybody and giving it all to the Jews. And everybody's starving. So, like, we can't continue like this. This cannot go on.
For Christmas, Christine Lagarde put out a little Christmas video saying, celebrate Christmas, or if you don't, but goodwill to you. And CBDCs are coming.
Yeah.
And it's like,
no,
what?
they are mocking us. They are mocking us because they also love, they also farm our louche. Our louche is us being upset, So the best resistance also is to be a happy person. Have a good family life. Love your family. Be loved. Be with other. Go toward I'm never scared of another person. Even if another person wants to kill me, they've killed Jesus before me. I don't care. We come in butt naked into this life, and we go out butt naked out of this life. So you can't hold anything. So the only thing that you really own is what you say, is what you think, and is what you do. So try to do the good thing, to say the good thing, and to think the good thing. And to think the good thing, well, you need nice people around you to have a pleasant life.
Absolutely. That's awesome. It's good to always be reminded of that. What is your core values, your core purpose?
Yeah.
Day by day, what is your why? Why are you doing this? It's not just to stack the most sats and hold on to it.
No.
You want to, but why?
Exactly.
And for your family, your generational wealth, your community.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever you want.
Whatever you want.
Your legacy, if you will. And
exactly.
And yeah, Bitcoiners are going to grow in power down the road and be able to, do more with that as fiat grinds away into death. Now, on a fairly recent, I think, positive note, you posted that you're going to be a speaker at Bitcoin Medellin, the Bitcoin Medellin conference in Colombia.
I've been invited now to two conferences. This has been now announced, and another one will be announced shortly. I will talk at Bitcoin Medellin. And I've just been to Montreal Bitcoin conference, the Canadian Bitcoin conference that was there.
Yes.
We also went to the Calgary conference, so the Alberta Bitcoin that our friend at Bull Bitcoin organizes too. So Bull Bitcoin, we're international. We're in Canada, in Europe, based out of France, but most countries, soon to be in Switzerland. We're in Mexico, in Costa Rica. We're in Colombia, in Argentina, and we hope so also to be in the United States one day, because it's a very important market, and now it seems to be more open towards Bitcoin. So we're always looking, about how the market is regarding Bitcoin, because we're not reckless people. Like we're not gonna do some stunts that other people did and that landed them in jail, because they're reckless. We try to respect the law in our companies, and we are an innovating company. We're the Willy Wonka of Bitcoin. Bull Bitcoin is the spearhead of the innovation. Like half of our company are people trying to find solutions to the problems that Bitcoiners don't even know they have, So how you're going to give your Bitcoin to your succession, how you're going to protect your privacy. So we have the Bull wallet that I invite everybody to download, even in the United States. This is worldwide on Android or iOS. You can get the Bull wallet, and you can connect it to a cold card or to your ledger. And this is like amazing Bitcoin technology that we're talking about. And obviously, all of the Bull brand and the stake, the Texas thing, Americans they will understand what we're trying to promote, And like this shirt, this was Maddox design. We have our in-house designer called Maddox that you can follow on X and buy shirts. But he also does jewelry. He also does he paints. So Bitcoin is a hope for a better world. Everything is to be done. That's the good news. The good news is that everything's shit. Everything has to be rebuilt. And now we have beautiful tools to do it, And it's not all lost, because as we saw during COVID, all the time there's effect reaction, You fuck up people wake up. You fuck a little bit more people woke up. At first, it was
Mhm.
just the hippies, against the Vietnam War. But now, if you say that Lyndon Johnson killed JFK, I sound less crazy today than I sounded a few years ago when I went through it and I was saying that these movies like the JFK made by Oliver Stone, they never talk about the Jews. Why? They funded it. The Dallas people that invited them there were the Zionist organization. So it's all connected, it's all connected because there's only one game in town, and that game is money. Everybody wants money. So these people now, they know they can destroy Bitcoin, so they're gonna try to sabotage it. We see what they're doing through core, we see what they're doing through all kinds of shit coinage. They always say Bitcoin, 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 and then they fuck you with something else that like a paper Bitcoin. Paper Bitcoin is nothing. Don't buy paper Bitcoin.
Mhm.
Like I'd rather have $10 on my cold wallet than have a $10,000 of paper Bitcoin. First of all, I would feel fucking dirty to be buying any and to think, oh yeah, but my tax guy is gonna be happy, he's gonna deduct. Fuck the tax guy,
Yeah.
fuck everybody, Like now we need to take back what is ours. These things are God given. It's not given to us by Nancy fucking Pelosi or another orange-haired asshole, These
Yeah,
things
retiring
are
with hundreds of millions of dollars somehow. Yeah.
yeah, but all of them,
Yeah.
bro. They have
Mhm.
billions. Look at that fat fuck, Lindsey Graham. He's laundering money from Ukraine to his own
Ukraine.
bank account, and he's not in jail, man. Why? Because the criminals run the system,
Yeah.
So when you understand that, you need to understand that Bitcoin is the solution. It's not only going to make you rich, it's going to also make you powerful because technology decentralizes power. The fact that we know now about all of these things like the Epstein and the things that are going on is because of Twitter, right? And Twitter was a technological innovation. Now you have people all across the world tweeting and sharing photos and what they saw. We're all making connections together. So now fast forward 15 years, okay? We're all Bitcoiners, we're rich. Will we have armies of drones protecting us? Oh, hell, we will have them. Will we have hackers, the best fucking minds in the world that are protecting our interests? Oh, yes, we will have those. Will we have politicians that will protect our interests and that will be working for the fucking communities? Oh, yes, we will have those too. So I'm very white-pilled, and to be white-pilled is to resist too. You can never get discouraged because the only thing they can take from you in this plane of life is your life, but the soul is eternal, and your legacy is eternal too.
Mhm.
So I don't want to die old in shitting in my pantalonetas, So I don't care. If it's like that with my family surrounding a peaceful death, fine. But I will not live a coward and let assholes steal from us and poison us,
Mm.
while good men do nothing. So I speak up for that reason. I expose myself for that reason. And I have fucking assholes that write from Princeton University emails telling lies about me, telling I'm an anti-fascist. My grandfather killed German Nazis in Yugoslavia during World War. We're an anti-fascist family, okay? So these people are out of their goddamn mind.
Yeah. Well, and when you're getting flack, you're over the target. Princeton University brings to mind where Woodrow Wilson was born, and then hence the Federal Reserve Act. So many things come to mind. Mossad's early connection with the CIA right after World War II. I want Bitcoin to remain decentralized and secure. With that, we encourage people to take self-custody and run a node. I'll bring back to stage Bull Bitcoin. You can go to bullbitcoin.com. I downloaded it here on my phone. Quick and easy.
That's the wallet. That's the wallet that you have, and this is the exchange. The exchange is not yet in the United States, but it should be there one day. But the wallet, you can use it in the United States, and it's a very non-custodial secure wallet. So make sure to back it up and to note your seed phrase to have your words backed up. And ideally, a little hint to your listeners is like, just scrap it on a piece of metal. Go to your local hardware store and buy some piece of metal, for not to have it on paper in case it burns out, and you have some money on it, because you never know what can happen,
Stamp
Better
it
be
on
safe than
steel.
sorry. Stamp box is because it leaves some traces when you order it, and with the AI, some people might start looking who ordered, the stampers and go to those addresses to jack them. So that's why I don't like it. I prefer the more, a more homemade version of that.
You can do the homemade approach. All you need is like a little a little plate of steel or something, or however you want. Washers, get some washers. You can get punches or scratch it on there, but you can stamp it on steel. Now I work with MicroSeed here.
Okay.
Let me play a quick thing, and then I encourage you, give me your thoughts on this. And what you think about self-custody. And I'm going to play a quick, funny little thing here. This is MicroSeed. You can stamp your seed phrase on steel. As a Bitcoiner, you know that taking self-custody is critically important. But if you've ever had a seed phrase, you've probably had it written down on something kind of like this. You can hide it or secure it, but paper burns, paper fades, paper gets wet, paper rots, paper blows in the wind. Paper has things written on it that might look important. So get off paper and get yourself a MicroSeed at microseed.io. Get the kit and crank out all the keys you'll ever need forever.
I love it. I didn't know that it existed. It looks so cool.
It is an option for people. I will just say, I don't care what you use. Scratch it on your own little plate of steel or washers if you want, however you want. Go on the cheap. As long as you get it secured, you want it critically secured on steel and hidden.
Exactly.
Now,
that's the most important.
MicroSeed, you can use whatever name you want. You could pay in Bitcoin. We don't collect info or keep info. We don't want to get anyone ever doxed or like who bought this or that or the others. But I totally hear what you're saying. When you buy stuff online, like, oh, he has KYC Bitcoin. Oh, he has a KYC, self-custody tool or whatever it is. People often are like, I want to be anonymous, and that's cool.
No, but you always have the Second Amendment, if somebody decides to test you. So that I didn't even know you did that, but no, this is even easier. I mean, for the people that love when it's easy. So an easier solution is good because there's way more chance that there is a fire or that your paper gets wet than that somebody jacks your home. Let's be realistic, especially if you have a minimum security at your home. So
yeah, you never know. I mean, it's like you wouldn't think your house would like burn down or that people would bust in when you're on vacation or whatever, but shit happens. And if it's obscure and tucked away and it's just hidden away on some steel, and it's recoverable, or you need to travel with it, and
they can take everything from you by signing a piece of paper. Some people in some room that you never saw, they can sign on a piece of paper and take your house away, your bank account away, everything that you own away. They can even take your freedom away and put you in jail by signing this fucking piece of paper, but they cannot take your Bitcoin away. Mm-hmm. So that's how powerful this system is, and it's beautiful also to do it with your son, to show him, listen, we're a Bitcoin family. This is our seed word. If something happens, this is what you need to understand. This is how you build your clan. This is how you, you build your legacy and you pass the torch. And the sad thing after the boomers was that the generations that came afterwards were getting poorer and more desperate because the system was a giant Ponzi that kept sucking everything in, and leaving less for us. But now the Bitcoiners, our successors, are going to be better off than us in general because one thing that the Bitcoiners understand is money. So when you understand money, oh my God, a lot of things start clicking in your head, and a lot of things that a lot of important decisions that you're gonna make in your life are gonna be much more better, when you know what money is.
Yeah, as you orange pill your family, or if you have a spouse, I'm lucky to have a supportive, loving, open-minded wife who doesn't want to know everything about everything. Like I'll get on a monologue or I'll be talking about something I'm excited about, and she has a tolerance for so much. And then ultimately, she just has to trust that she knows enough that if I got hit by a train or whatever, that, the legacy is intact for the family and how to do something, at least get the words. And then we'll go from there. But yeah.
Props to you, man. Props to you. I love
it's not always easy.
I know it's not. But like, oh man, we're the pioneers, this is the jungle where we're building the first small villages, this is how it's done. We're the first ones. We're the first generation of Bitcoin. There's gonna be generations down the way that are gonna say, oh man, these people were so lucky they could have bought an entire Bitcoin, one whole Bitcoin, because then it's gonna be impossible down the way in 2-3 this thing is simple, but the whole system is gonna be built on top of it. This is the third layer of internet. The first layer was, I'm gonna send you an email, and people would say, why not just send her a letter at the post? It's much more easier. The second layer was the information on internet, so the Facebooks, the Ubers, all of this crap. Now it's money on the internet. So this is the internet money, so it's kind of a big deal, because the internet money, you're going to have everything built on top of that, because we're not going to go back to dealing gold coins, like Constantine the Great with his famous gold coin, because first of all, like, it's not practical, and for all of the reasons I'm sure your guests discussed about why Bitcoin is superior money. But even like if we develop a space economy, like a lot of people are talking about space, let's say there's you can go to space and it's not the firmament. Let's say you can go out, and it's like they say it is, it's the floating rocks. Okay, let's play that for a minute. Well, you're not going to ship a ton of gold into space to make a space deal. You're obviously going to send Bitcoin, and the machines, the AI between them, they're not going to send each other Ethereum that another asshole can print in his underwear. They're going to the sound money, because the machines are not stupid. So they're going to transact in Bitcoin. And finally, Bitcoin is just Bitcoin. It just is at the end of the day. It doesn't need us. It doesn't need even us to think that it's good. It's still going to, and it can continue down the way, and somebody can recoup it and do something out of it.
TikTok next block. And, so China's setting up a big, a series of sort of like distributed gold reserves, but then ultimately they're trading in paper that's backed by gold and promises and all that. I mean, good luck to BRICS that way. But I think they also, whether they're quietly getting in and positioning themselves with Bitcoin behind the scenes, even as they might make things about it illegal, they're got to be in on it. They're looking at what Bhutan is doing, or we watch what El Salvador is doing. I just saw a thing on X just today about Putin and Trump met. Let's see, just
about the nuclear thing.
The U.S. and Russia are discussing a joint Bitcoin mining project at Zaporizhia's nuclear power plant.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, well, that's a great idea, because the rich, they are using Bitcoin already. All of these corrupt Ukrainian generals, they accept Bitcoin. So because they know that this is the money that nobody can take away from it. It works, because the thing we understand now is that they weaponized money. Like Melania Trump, her card was declined in the restaurant. Right. She was the first lady. And this is a very serious thing for somebody that's a socialite and that goes out to fancy dinners in New York City. When your card gets declined, this is a big thing to Melania Trump. And they did it to humiliate her. So this means that the money is not hers, it's theirs. And they did the same thing to Kanye West when they stole his money, So all of these governments, they can talk anything they want. But look, they understand that Bitcoin is money. And now they have this big nuclear plant that it's in the middle of no man's land, in the Kherson region. So what they want to do now is to say, the Ukrainians tried to blow it up because they don't want it to go into Russian hand. Russia said, if you blow it up, there's going to be nuclear pollution going all over Europe. It's like Chernobyl. You can't just blow up a nuclear plant and hope that it goes away. It's going to be a fucking nuclear cloud in Europe. So what they did now is they said that, and Trump, by the way, even though he's now allegedly a pedophile and in the Epstein list and all of that, even out of that, he did some good things. Okay. And we always need to always to think about something. These people killed JFK. Trump has a family. Okay. He's not a stupid man. So if your family is in danger and they tell you to kiss this guy's ass, you're going to kiss that guy's ass if it means that you can gain something else. And obviously, they got him fucking rich too. So that's not like, they give you the carrot or they blow your fucking head off. So anyway, Anyway, I just want to say that because this is one of the good things that Trump is bringing to the table. These kinds of deals, financial, pure realpolitik. There's a nuclear plant. A plant produces electricity. What's the easiest way to transform this electricity into money? That's a neutral money, not American dollars or fucking rubles that are worthless. Well, it's Bitcoin. So this is another proof for us that Bitcoin is a big thing, you know. And the good news for America is that the Chinese and the Russians are as stupid as us. They don't have nobody has a fucking idea what to do next, because the US dollar is not something you can just change overnight, you know. Everybody used it for so long. The whole global system is on it, you know. The petrodollar is on it. Everything is on it. Now they can play fancy and invite some kind of a new fiat, but nobody's gonna buy that. Do you think Japan is gonna buy the BRIC money? Do you think that even Canada is gonna buy? No, you know. And gold is garbage. Fort Knox has been empty. They stole the gold. The gold is in Tel Aviv, my friend. The gold is in Tel Aviv. Canada is the fourth biggest producer of gold in the world. We have no fucking gold. Where's the gold? Who loves gold? It's in Tel Aviv. Great Britain doesn't have any more gold. It has been shipped. So it's a global funneling system that robs us of everything. We have no institution of our own. No.
You know, it's funny that when Trump was pretty new or coming into office soon, and Elon Musk was going to start the Doge thing, and there was, for a while there was a talking point about how we're going to go into Fort Knox and we're going to take a look and audit that gold. And then that just kind of went away. It's like
there's no gold. They went.
What happened to that?
No, but they went. Elon Musk told us that Trump was on the Epstein list way before. Do you remember that? He tweeted it.
Right.
Do you remember that?
Well,
yeah. He said Elon Musk. It's complicated. Okay, I don't want to speculate exactly, but I have an idea. But the guy says some true things, and he's still letting us discuss on Twitter. You see the notice that I post often on Twitter when they block one of my posts and they send me an email and they say you are hateful speech, blah blah blah. But they still keep me on, you know. And I still have 30 million impressions yearly on Twitter, on X. So Elon Musk is playing the devil's advocate here. His pitch to these people is, listen, you're better to keep these assholes here where we can see them than to have them where we can, okay? And he went in with Doge. He saw it's all a fucking scam. What did he said on Rogan? If I stop so much scam, they will whack me. He said that on Rogan.
Right.
The gold, he went. They saw there's no gold. So what happened next? It was one of those fucking flights from Bibi that came from Tel Aviv, you know, and he told them, guys, there's no gold, baby. So here we're going to give you a SpaceX deals for you, and we're going to build you a brand new ballroom for you. So now shut the fuck up, you know. So, and by the way, this asshole brings his dirty laundry every time he travels to America, because they see you as the Romans. So they hate the Romans. And all of the Roman statues that are missing a piece of the face, this is a Talmudic incantation to break the spell of the statue. So now seeing America as the Romans, they want to humiliate you. So every time, and I mean every time, Bibi comes to America, he brings all of his dirty laundry, because the White House has a service staff that will wash the laundry for the foreign dignitaries when they come, if it's needed. You know, sometimes you're traveling and you have your tie or whatever. But these assholes, they bring a huge bag, like, you know, the Christmas tale, you know, where the evil boss was having his laundry washed by his poor employee. So just, I tell that to you to understand how much they despise you, you know, how much they have resentment against you. And Americans are still winning. And Americans are, the best of America is yet to come. This whole thing, the framers, what they did is they seeded, they placed a seed, my friend. And America is going to be back so much, because everything that Trump promised, the people still want. And everything that he tried he lied, the people will get. One way or the other. Make sure of that. We're many. There are few. Okay? And we're a lot. We're the largest army on earth, the Christians.
Yeah. There's a lot of guns in America, and they cannot go block by block and take us down physically. And I think you know, they can work on a cage that kind of goes around and stuff, but ultimately it leaks too much. They can't just
Exactly.
take complete control.
I just want to say one thing
Yeah.
on that. Nobody is in control. Okay, that's what rejoices me. Nobody is in control. The only control you have is over yourself. The only way is inward, and the only relation is between you and your creator. So only trust Jesus, nobody else, you know? So
Yeah. And that gets me into ideas around Christianity being compatible with Stoicism,
yeah,
Stoicism being focus on yourself, fix yourself, the external world, all of its drama, all of the politics, like Marcus Aurelius, you know, in his writings, there was so much shit going on, and the wars, the family dynamics, the people, and he was like, you can just imagine somebody going, "Oh crap!"
I
that
love Meditations. It's my favorite book, one of my
meditations,
top favorite books. Yeah. And Stoicism prepared the Roman Empire to receive the word of Jesus, you know. Without Stoics, it would not be possible, because the Romans were not only the greatest empire because of how they built, of how they conquered, of how they taxed, how they innovated, how they all of the things the Romans did, but they also bent the knee to Jesus Christ. And this is major, because everything was pointing against that logically. It was not a logical decision. But Constantine the Great came from the lands that are called Yugoslavia. He was born in the city of Niš. His mother was
wow,
called Yelena, and he was an Illyrian. Back then, my tribe, we were called the Illyrians, and we were in the Roman Empire the longest, for
wow,
1,200 years. So these lands were part of Rome. And this guy, how it happened, he was marching. He had the armies in Gaul and in England. He was based out of England, and he was marching to Rome to be the sitting emperor and to become the emperor, because he was a tyrant and he was stealing stuff. Okay, so on his way to a march, apparition appeared. I'm born in Zenica. You see that city there where it's written Zenica?
right
Yeah,
there.
that's my hometown. That's where I was born, in Boston.
Wow,
Yeah, in the mountains. I'm a mountain. It's kind of like the Appalachians, where I was
Bosnia
born.
and Herzegovina.
Yeah. So all of this, you know, it was the Roman Empire. The Adriatic was their sea, and the whole Mediterranean was their sea. They were calling it the Mare Nostrum. So basically, what I'm trying to tell you is that Christianity, you know, every knee will bend. I don't see like Muslims as non-Christians. I see them just as people that are not Christians yet, you know, like people that have understood some things. They know that there's one God, but they have not understood. And even in the Holy Quran, they say only God can judge. And they also say at the end of the time, Jesus will come back to judge the living and the dead. So even them, they recognize that, you know, Jesus is more than a mere man, more than a prophet, more than a perfect man since Adam. Jesus, how I see Jesus, is like if, let's say, God was a big ball of light that you cannot understand in any way. You know, it's nothing to us. It's too much. It's like the sun. If a mere man is in front of the sun, it's too big. It's too. So Jesus is like if this big sun put a little glove and put a puppet, you know, and it went to us down there. And it was like, hello, and here is what you need to learn. No, that's how I see Jesus. You know, he's fully God, yet he became man. So he was born. He had a mother. He had a father. He had a mother and a father that loved him, friends. He traveled. He was the fleeing Herod. He came back to perform his miracle. He had the life that the kind that me and you have. You know, a life that can be of danger, that can be of family, that can be of love, that can be of whatever, you know. So that's what amazing. We have a living God. Jesus has not died. He has not gone to heaven, you know. He went to heaven, but he's here walking among us. When two people talk about Jesus, Jesus is here. So that's how powerful our faith is. And now with the tool as Bitcoin, like, man, the best of America is in front of us, because America is a Christian country founded on freedom principles and sound money, you know, until the Fed was privatized by a bunch of bankers that did it in a disgusting way. You know, they stole the money printer and nobody stopped it.
Yeah, you know, when you hear the term Federal Reserve or a Federal Reserve, it's like it's not federal, it's not a reserve. The notes are promissory tracking of debt.
Yeah.
It's like I've talked to people as I orange pill variously, and I'll talk to people about Bitcoin and just start to orange pill a little bit just to get people off zero. And then it gets into, well, money generally, like an understanding of money. And it's like, well, the dollar is backed by gold. And it's like, nope. Well, what's it backed by? Okay, like empire, proof of war. The Federal Reserve is a private cartel of banks.
European banks. From Europe.
And so, who was it? Warburg was at the creature of Jekyll Island when they met on Jekyll Island and created the whole idea. Warburg was representing the Rothschild banks, and a lot of J.P. Morgan guys, assistant to the Treasury. There were like 6 guys that met with under code names to put this together, and it was the big banks, a representative who was in their club from the Treasury Department, and the Rothschild Bank.
Yeah.
So.
But I'll give you a few truth bombs, okay, just for fun, because you're talking about Warburg. A fun fact: while Warburg was the president of the Federal Reserve of America, his cousin, Mr. Warburg, also called Warburg, was the president of the Central Bank of Nazi Germany, and they funded Hitler. So the Rothschilds and the Warburgs funded Hitler's war machine. Also the Bushes and other prestigious American industrial family, and the factories and the trucks were American made, some of them. And one time when the Allies bombed one of these factories in Germany, they were sued in America by the American industrialists saying you're bombing my industry in Nazi Germany. Okay, to tell you that there's only 2 sides: good versus evil. The synagogue of Satan versus Jesus Christ. Okay, it's all about Jesus. So the Nazis, now I see on the internet people like bringing the Nazis cool. These guys were dipshit, genocidal maniacs and occultists, homosexuals, and people that were killing kids and doing all kinds of atrocities. Yugoslavia was the only country to free itself in Europe without intervention from the Russians or from the Americans. We killed in Yugoslavia 200,000 Nazis and their collaborators, and we sent them backpacking in Germany. Because we are an ancient people, we're Slavs. We were in these forests since before the Roman times. They came to us, but we never mixed with the Romans. Our genetics are still purely Slav. We do not have Latin genetics. So when these empires, they come, they hit into us like in a pile of rocks that they're immobile, because we'll die, but we'll win, So now, why I'm talking to you about this is because the First Reich, okay, was the Holy Empire, the Holy Roman Empire. The Second Reich, the Third Reich, the Second Reich was the Empire of Germany, Bismarck and all of these people. The Third Reich was the Germany, the Nazis, but the Fourth Reich now is the EU, okay? So it's the same continuity, it's the same people. And when you see now, like Chrystia Freeland in Canada, that's a very important minister. Her grandfather was a Nazi propagandeer. He owned Nazi newspapers in Ukraine. When you see some of the European politicians, their fathers or not fathers, but grandfathers were all members of that party. So something happened there where the history is not what we were taught. They were no good guys. There are no good guys.
Like they picked one side or the other. They invested on both sides, and no matter who won, they were there.
Exactly. Because it's an animal farm. The whole World War I and II were meant to kill white Christians and to kill the ancient world. The beautiful buildings, the everything that world had to offer, which was God, decency, honor, family, like the good old decent Americans that built the fucking country. They wanted to destroy that. So when you see these old pictures, they destroyed it. They destroyed that world. It's completely destroyed. And they did it because they control the money. Without the money, they can't do it. So now we have a tool finally to challenge their monopoly on money. So now it is only the beginning of the American Revolution right now.
So when I think of like in the Czech Republic, Prague, it's a city that was not bombed out and has a lot of old buildings and stuff. Yugoslavia and those cities in there, did they remain fairly intact through the war, or did they get bombed?
Many got bombed, but there's some that are left. Like in Yugoslavia, there has not been an erasure of culture like we have seen in the West. But in the West, there's so much culture that it's really hard to erase. I mean, there's so much beauty that has been built by our ancestors everywhere. You know, the Christianity is a faith that can project you 1,000 years in front of you. So these cathedrals, they can't even destroy them. You know, they would love to destroy them. They're burning churches all across France and Canada. But, you know, so this will not last. You know, now the gig is up. We see who is in cahoots with who. Now the lines are being drawn again, you know, and it's gonna be a showdown. And like you said a little bit earlier, you know, they have to always print more and more and more because the Ponzi, that's the whole basis of the Ponzi. The hole is getting bigger. So every time they print more, they wake up more people. So every time our army gets bigger. And that's how Yugoslavia won against Germany, by the way. Germany at the time was the America of today. It was the global superpower. They had technology that we didn't even dream of. You know, we were still on horses when we fought the Nazis. But how we did this is because every time they committed an outrageous crime, we would have 25,000 people join the resistance. So now America, the resistance is everywhere. Like the things I was saying 3 years ago, I mean, people would scream on me, like write me "fuck you" or like attack. Now, my friend, like people are leaving me alone. They're just leaving. They're like, this old fool. Like I'm like Diogenes the cynic, you know, with my lantern and my dog going on searching for a man. You know, that's how I see it now.
That's why I wanted you on, because you've got the courage and the ethics to say what is true and what's true to you. And
to me, that's my perspective. You know, yeah. I don't know if it's true. Everything's a perspective of somebody. So make your own perspective, you know, get your own info. I don't know everything. I make mistakes, you know. That's why I call it shit posting, because I don't know. You know, I don't want to, I truly don't know. I cannot verify some of the things. But what I do know is patterns. I can read patterns. And I'm a student of history. And I will always tell you, like, this is the official history and this is what really happened. Because if you, and one example I'll give to your listeners is the day you know news are false is the day you witness an event and you see the news thing there cover that event and you watch it on the news. Then you see that, okay, these people are fucking liars and thieves. Like they're complete. They said, because they're there to make the money. They're there for the show. They're there to distract you. They're there to make you angry. They're there to sell you their perspective. So that's why I tell them, don't trust anybody. Only trust Jesus. That's the easiest way. Sure, you can trust your wife, but I don't know, man. Some people have been fooled by their wives too, you know. But Jesus will never betray you.
That's true. You have to know the relationships you have, and we're being farmed, and so part of the you know the larger the government and the bigger the system, it's like the intent is to farm us, and we're animals on the animal farm. Now, so Yugoslavia being a large homeland, it originally was encompassed a large area.
Yeah, 25 million people. The third most strong army in Europe. The only country to free itself, industrialized country. Like, I saw a country be destroyed by hyperinflation in front of my eyes. My family had money in Yugoslavia, and I came without anything in Canada. We had to start over in '95 without a dime, without a dollar, because when you build on a rotten system, when this system collapsed, people will literally throw the money on the streets. So as a kid, I remember walking in front of the banks and seeing people throw money in front because they went to the bank to change their dinars. It were called dinars, $2 or whatever, and the bank said no, there's no exchange anymore. So that's it. It's monopoly money, people. Like, wake the fuck up. Like, every day you wait, it might happen tomorrow to the United States. They don't tell it in advance, you know. But obviously, the American is different for the Americans because the dollar is a global currency. So you're always going to find assholes to buy your scam coin, you know. But now, more and more people, like I told you, in Congo, even people are using Lightning. So it's just a question of time before the world decides to not play this stupid game anymore to get these stupid results.
Yeah, and you don't have to go back too many generations, 1 or 2 generations, and realize that a lot of these families and people that are running things today, like in America, I mean, the Bushes, Bush Sr. was straight out of the CIA. His his lineage and the Herbert Walker, the Walkers, Prescott Bush, and they were invested in the Nazis and America, but both sides. And then, but in Yugoslavia, let me bring up because you make a reference to, what's going on here? I have to refresh this. Broz Tito, Josip Broz
Yes.
Tito.
Well, Tito had his own flaws. One of the biggest flaws of Tito is that he was a communist. So, because at the time, the communists, they did not know what the communists were, what communism was. Communism was new at the time, and so the royal family, Yugoslavia was a monarchy before the war, before the Nazis invaded. When the Nazis invaded, the royals fled to England and left the people to get killed and butchered by Nazis. So the Nazis, the policy that they did is they would murder randomly 100 people for every soldier that we killed, and we killed 200,000 soldiers. So they would kill a lot of innocent civilians. They would just go into the villages and kill the whole village, old people, kids, everybody. Just murder people randomly. Yeah. So obviously, like the people were like, "What the fuck are we gonna do?" And the communism was spreading at the time. This new idea, like the working class arming themselves, having these policies. So Tito was a communist. He gained the civil war and freed Yugoslavia from the German invasion. The royals went and collaborated with the Nazis at some point. So he destroyed the royal loyalists as well, because they were seeing the communists were going to take power, and they decided to collaborate with the foreign enemy to preserve their own privileges. So he destroyed everybody. So becoming the main guy in Yugoslavia, he installed a communist system, but a different system than the communism that we know. In Russia, the state owned everything. In Yugoslavia, it was a cooperative model. So everything was a co-op owned by the workers directly. So even the banks, the bank workers, like the clerks in the bank, were the owners of the bank. And so my grandfather was a director of a metallurgy factory that produced metal and iron, which employed 30,000 people. It was a huge, it's still the biggest one there in my city in Zenica. It's called Željezara. And so these 30,000 workers were the owners of this steel mill, okay? So nobody liked this system. The Russians hated it, and the Americans hated it. So when the war ended, Tito went to Russia, obviously, to see his communist brothers. And what he realized going there is that they were monsters, that it was all a lie, that they had killed most of the Yugoslav communist intelligentsia that was in Moscow during the Stalin purges. Because now we know these things, but back then they did not know that Stalin purged the whole of the Yugoslavian poets, and these are writers and poets and idealists.
Yeah,
because the Bolsheviks killed 60 million Christians, and all of the early Bolsheviks too, because evil destroys evil. So he broke off with Stalin, went back to Yugoslavia. Stalin tried to murder him 30 times, and I'm gonna end this story on this note. When Stalin was found dead in his dacha, he would be in his dacha. This is like a small chalet where the Russian elites would go. And there was 2 guards at the door. And the only person that was authorized to go in Stalin's private room was his homekeeper, a senior lady that was like his nurse and his keeper. So when he had his malaise, he was on the floor. And when she found him, she went and she said it to his, his main people, the top general, the top service secret guy, and they all came and nobody called a doctor because they all were scared that he was gonna kill them, And on the table, they found a letter from Tito addressed to Stalin, and that letter, and this is a historical document, but it's not known because the official history, they don't like these nuances.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, and the letter said. Mr. Stalin, now I have outplayed this many assassins. Please be advised that if I send one of my assassins, he will get the job done. Best regards, Josip Broz Tito. And he was found dead. So, if Tito killed Stalin or not, the history will know. I don't want to speculate, but I want to tell you that Tito built a system that was even though a communist system, and I'm not a communist, I'm against communist, and it proved a failure ultimately because when something is owned by everyone, it's owned by nobody. I'd rather this mill to be owned by one family and to know that this is a Yugoslavian family or an American family that owns this mill than to have 30,000 people own it, because they're not going to take care of it and it's going to go to shit like he did, you know. So this was his biggest mistake. But I admire him as a war general, as a statesman. He founded the non-aligned movement during the Cold War. When the states were beefing with Russia, we founded the non-aligned movement with India and with Egypt, with Nehru and with the Egyptian prime minister, president Nasser at the time. So basically, Yugoslavia was always, you know, the black duck in Europe. We always did it our ways. Even during Roman times, we were only paying respects, but not the taxes or doing like anything like too much. It was always been this kind of a status quo in Yugoslavia, where it's not no man's land, you know.
Yeah, Tito was in power for a long time, but notably he stood up to Stalin and helped make Yugoslavia independent from the Soviet Republic, as I understand it. So,
and he took the Marshall Plan. So he rebuilt. He was very close with the American, and he was a very close friend with JFK. Please, if you can show to your people Tito JFK, if you can Google that, Josip Broz Tito and JFK, you're gonna find a beautiful picture before, when Yugoslavia and America were independent sovereign countries.
I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, and he was. He was hosting many Hollywood celebrities in Yugoslavia because he was known as a war hero. He beat the Nazis. You know, back then, after the World War II, the heroes of the movies and the series were, you know, the brave people that stood up to Hitler's tyranny. And, you know, again, people that are trying to rehabilitate Hitler, you know, Hitler was right about some things. He did some good things, like the bank in Germany and all the financial system that is still there to this day was created by Hitler. So he did some good things like anybody else, but some way along the path, he chose to become a monster, you know, and we cannot rewrite history. And no matter if a man is good yesterday, he needs to be good today and tomorrow and the next day. You know, you can't just be good on some things and now everybody, like I see young Americans praising Nazis. No, you shouldn't do that. Your ancestors charged these beaches and showed you know, showed courage and freed the world as they thought, but it turned out that we didn't free shit.
That's amazing. Now, when you left Bosnia, you were injured by a mortar.
Yeah.
There was a lot of unrest going on, and I know there was wars going on between, you know, Bosnia and Serbia, and I remember a lot of conflict going on.
It was a civil war.
Yeah, civil war going on. I don't know a lot about it. I remember that the U.S. got involved at some level, supporting one side or the other, and to what interests. I don't know if a lot of Americans fully understood that war, but that had its own atrocities for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And that's around the time that you or your family, did you flee or you expatriated to Canada, right?
Well, I left after the war, so I spent the war there. Yeah. So my youth was forged in the hell of war. So I would sell cigarettes by units, you know, to flip a pack and then sell the other pack and have some food. I would steal some things, you know, hustle in the street. We were basically a bunch of kids that were roaming together. The oldest one was maybe 13 years old. The youngest one was 8. And I was among the youngest ones. And we would find all kinds of stuff. When there was a dead soldier floating, we would fish him and take out his pocket, his pistol, his grenade, you know, whatever we would. So people would not fuck with us. You know, when you see a bunch of kids, like you see 20 kids running around, you know, and you know they have guns and they play with grenades that they explode, you know, and they have food and they sell cigarettes, you're like, okay, we're not gonna fuck with those kids. So that's why I'm not scared. You know, I was like, I saw my father go blown up next to me. I saw people die. I was missing food. I saw like the worst of the humanity, and I saw the best of the humanity too. Yeah. You know, so right now, like, there's not much that you can do. You know, there's always some cruel punishment, I guess. I don't want to, you know, call it upon me or nothing, but it's just that's how I was forged, you know, in this fucking shit show where money is not worth anything. There's no food, there's no electricity, there's no running water. People are cutting all of the trees in the city to warm themselves. People are getting their apartments run in, and everybody gets killed for just to get their flowers stolen. Like, it's like people have no fucking idea
Survival.
how bad is anarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Anarchy is disgusting. And these people that control the global system, they designate a country or a space. They'll say, okay, there's a war there. And then they're going to finance both sides of that war. They're going to make money selling weapons. They're going to give their spin and their bullshit. So the United States used this opportunity to create military bases in Kosovo, steal Kosovo from Serbia, steal human organs, traffic children, like the whole war economy. Because, again, we're cattle to these people. So war is just when you decide to cull the sheep.
Yeah, and even with the Epstein stuff, a lot of what the customers wanted were they liked young people out of the Eastern Bloc. It's a very an attractive, youthful group of kids that these creeps want.
Yeah,
so high
because
demand.
They're blonde. They have blue eyes. They're fair skin, and they're Christian. They hate Christian. The people that were around Epstein were mostly Jews, and their private country club are Jew only. So an American cannot enter this club. It's illegal, for an American. There's places that these people have that you, as an American fucking citizen in your own fucking country, you cannot go in. Okay, people need to understand. So. Yugoslavia has its own financial occupation, but the whole world is occupied right now. America has its freedom, its problems, but it's the same situation everywhere, And now they're playing in Somaliland. Tomorrow it's going to be in Ukraine. Then it's going to be Venezuela. It's never going to stop. These people, they sold 4 trillion during COVID. It's not enough to them, So it's not about money. People need to understand. The only way this stops is when us, the people, stop it. And the framers told us, your freedom is God-given, your rights are God-given, and you have the right to oppose tyranny at every level. And that's why I am an American Phil, because everything is going to happen in America. It's not going to happen in Yugoslavia. They destroyed Yugoslavia and they passed on to Iraq, then they passed out to Afghanistan, and then another country. But America, they cannot destroy yet. But one day they will be able to destroy it. The same way they destroyed the Ottoman Empire once they sucked all of the blood out and they did the genocide on the Armenians. And because when you see the people, see the names, the people, even the American Civil War, few people know that in the Southern Command, the number 3, 4, and 5 were Jews. And that 78% of the slave ships were Jew-owned. So the Jews brought the Africans to America and monetized that. And now they're monetizing all kinds of shenanigans, milking them and bringing new Somalians to Minnesota, So the history is just a circle. And it's like the universe, sometimes you're going to have multiple times the same situation. And it's almost like the universe saying, did you learn this? Did you learn this? Well, the whole of history is like this. The whole of history is this, okay? And so all the decisions are one-to-one with you and your God in a rotten system, unjust system, And Jesus said something very nice. And, maybe we can wrap it up after that. But I don't know how long it has been, but already.
I'm good for whatever you want to go for. It's been an hour and 18 minutes. So, but
yeah. But I wanted to say, what was I talking about?
Well, it was there's a country in the Middle East that starts with I, and it goes back centuries in terms of banking and financing. And
I was going to say Jesus said, but I forgot what he said about the specific issue I was talking about. But anyway, he said a lot of good things.
Jesus said a lot of good things. He turned the tables over in the bank.
Yeah.
He wanted to free people from that slavery, if you will. And now when you left Yugoslavia area, came to Canada, you love America.
Yeah.
Canada in various ways has got some fuckery going on. It's screwy. So you hear Trump say to Carney, kind of jokingly, that Canada could become another state, or that we would annex it or take it. What do you feel about that?
It's impossible. I mean, this is the plan that his handlers, let's call them his handlers, they have. They want. It was something that was designed by one Polish guy. I forgot his name. I think his name was Berzewski or something, but this guy had a very violent ideas of geopolitics, and his idea basically is that America, the whole block of America, should be one block. Mexico, United States, Canada, Greenland, Alaska, they should be the section one. AI surveilled hellhole, you know, some kind of a fucking dystopian shit show, you know. So, but the Canadians will never accept it. First of all, Canada, the last time that the Americans invaded Canada, they lost the war. The battle was held in the Quebec City, my city here, and the Americans lost. They were being led by Benedict Arnold, and what beat them was not the Canadian prowess, even if there were some, but it was the cold. Canada is a very cold country. It's very hard to occupy. We have a very good soldiery. In the international level, Canadians, they always saw Americans as their big brothers. And me, when I was in politics for 10 years, and we're talking just pre-COVID and in the beginning of COVID, you know, and then when the genocide in Gaza started, I went out because I wanted no part of Canada. Still funds the fucking genocide to this day, you know. So everybody that's funding it is a war criminal. So it's impossible because everybody opposes it. The left, the right, the young, the old, the military, the geeks. Like, if America comes to Canada, it's going to be a very big problem because, yeah, you can bomb the city. Sure, you can send a nuke and bomb Toronto. But to occupy Canada would be a shit show because we would have infiltrators in America, okay, because the love between Canadians and Americans, there are many families that are on both sides. So if they think, for example, that Trump is a tyrant and is invading a brotherly nation, they would sabotage from inside. You know, it's like, so it would become a militarily is impossible, and politically it's impossible because the Canadians want. So it's just another of these wet dreams that these people have. Like, they want now to annex a part of Egypt, Syria, Saudi Arabia, and create this big Israel that goes up to Ukraine, and they want to create a superpower that Khazaria was in the Middle Ages, a country that existed there, because these people are from there, and their roots are not. These are not Jews from the time of Jesus. These Jews, they became something else, and some became the Palestinians, which are the Semites being killed today. So it's not possible. But I think that Trump has done a lot of damage to the relation between the two countries, you know, because if you see the numbers of business being done between America and Canada, it was huge, and it all got destroyed by these fucking politicians on both sides of the aisle. And don't think that Trump is opposing Carney. They're working together. He's the left hand, the other is the right hand of the same fucking global assholes that are killing our businesses, that are putting people out of jobs, and that are stealing our money through inflation. Canada today announced again we're going to give 2.5 billion to Ukraine, and on top of how many fucking billions that we are giving, you know. And in Canada, it's impossible. It has become impossible to live here right now. A grocery costs me $400. You know, like, I don't even know how people work and live here that are not in Bitcoin. I don't understand. So
it's the grocery store's fault. I remember Trudeau, like, we're going to crack down on the grocery stores who are overcharging.
He brought them to Ottawa. He brought the cameras, and he gave them shit on camera, and then nothing happened, obviously, because what's going to happen?
Make it cheaper. It's like, okay, their margins are not that fat.
And you know, they can do that because the people are stupid. People need to educate themselves. Knowledge is power, guys. Read, listen to fucking audiobooks, and always keep a critical mind. You know, it's just somebody's opinion on that subject. It can have good elements, bad elements. Me and you, for example, we disagree on many things, me and you. And it's okay. It's normal. We're not the same people. We're not from same backgrounds. We're, you know, it's fine to disagree. We don't need all to think the same way about everything, you know. But if we can understand each other on some very important principles, like a truthful money that is not printed by Trudeau, who, like, when you see 80% of the money supply was printed in the last 5 years. You know, this is a criminal enterprise executed by criminals, war criminals, on us, the people, worldwide.
And they're stuck in their corner. They have to print more money. They can't keep doing their shenanigans without more money, more money. They can't. I mean, they could try to tax and tax and tax. that's not enough to hardly pay off the debt on the interest, the interest on
Exactly.
the debt.
Exactly.
So they have to print more money, and so hence we Bitcoin.
The taxes. Bukele did a great speech on that. Bukele, when he went to the conservative, he talked about that. Like, he showed how obscene.
Why do we pay taxes?
How do you pay taxes? Like, if Kanye can print 2.5 billion and send it to Ukraine today, why can't he print another 2.5 billion and me and my buddies, we don't pay taxes?
Right. Yeah. And well, so here's a little rabbit hole I've gone down, where taxation being kind of like a humiliation ritual, that it reminds you who's in charge. You have to pay your taxes. You have to say, well, how much do I owe? Well, how much do you think you owe? Well, I don't know this. We'll let you know if you're good or bad. You'll find out. I get weirdly conspiratorial maybe about just like a daylight savings time. It's like, why do we do daylight savings? It makes no sense.
It's all crazy.
You know what it does? It reminds you that they even control your time.
Yes.
It's a whole mindset. It's like
absolutely
humiliation ritual. It's like
these are things, it's called magic with a CK, magic. Okay, this is ancient stuff. Okay, because God created this universe and He made the rules. So these people, they found a way to cheat some of those rules. Okay, to gain an edge. But there's karmic consequences if you try to gain this edge. So to palliate to that consequences, you're gonna do tricks. You're gonna trick the people to give you their consent on you doing that to them. So it's for the karmic response that they do it. It's not just to humiliate us. It's also to preserve themselves from destruction, because they know that they are vulnerable. Also, and one of the reasons they cannot stop the show is because there's people with pitchforks coming, okay? And you don't want people with pitchforks coming. So you're going to pretend that everything's cool and dandy until there's imbeciles that are going to believe you, And then luckily there's still a bunch of boomers that are alive and that still vote and pay their taxes and listen to the CNNs and this Fox Newses and these pundits, which are all controlled oppositions. It's all fuzz and spooks, all of it.
Propaganda.
It's propaganda. It's either for louche, either for your divert your attention, or to give you, some spins, Like, I see their hypocrisy now, I've become like this old stoic asshole, which is long beard, that like every time something happens, I'm like, okay, let's take a time, like, to see who are the actors here, who what's the big picture here. And if you do that, you're gonna find out it's always the same people. It's always the same gig. It's like, how many times will you get fucked?
We've seen this movie before. I think COVID. Well, so let's see. The 2008 financial crisis kind of woke a lot of people up in some ways. Like, kind of like, what? We just bailed the banks out and let others go to waste. COVID woke a lot of people up. 9/11 maybe later. So when things happen again and again, and you start to see the problem, reaction, solution thing, and knowing Bitcoin, it's like you start to see everything is like fiat. I think more and more people are waking up. I think people that are reliant on being told what to believe from CNN or Fox News or whatever, I think that's waning and going away.
Absolutely.
They're just struggling to stay relevant at this point. And meanwhile, various, podcasts, whatever, the internet and X and other public forums, public squares are allowing us to break free. And so these legacy systems are just trying to be more and more ridiculous to stay relevant and convince us to willingly comply and walk into the sacrifice. And so I think it's going away, and hence you're a Christ pillar. And also you say white pillar. So Bitcoin is hope. Have you heard of this book by Michael called The White Pill?
No.
Oh, well, so I'll just Michael Malice.
I'll buy the audiobook, and if it has an audiobook, I love to listen to them.
The White Pill by Michael Malice. It gets into Russian history and what happened with Stalin and the Soviet Union, and some horrific stories there in the years of that. It puts things into perspective where you'd think people, without Bitcoin or without their faith, people. So for me, before Bitcoin, I was kind of black-pilled. I was just like, there's no point. It's beyond politics. it's so, there's no escape, there's no fix. We're fucked.
Yeah.
Bitcoin helped remind me, aside from any faith that people should have, having a foundation of like, oh, there is a solution, there is a
Yeah.
fix. Bitcoin gave me hope. And so I'm a white pillar too. I feel like humanity has a great potential now to a golden age. And I feel
Absolutely.
kind of white pilled. So
Absolutely. And that's why I'm saying the best for America is to come. And what you're doing is very important. You know, it may seem not important, like you're doing a little podcast talking about Bitcoin. It's fun. Hey, hey. But no, we're in a period of time where censorship is rampant, where there's these fucking pedo satanists that are trying to convince us of a vision of the world where kids get transfigured and operated on, where there's no mother or father, where you're gonna own nothing, you're gonna eat the bugs, you know. Like, what you're doing is being a beam of light. You don't know who's gonna watch your show, you know. You don't know what that person is gonna do, you know. So you are using your human energy to do that, you know. And there's a million of us now doing that on various scales. Some are in some jungle villages, other are on mainstream networks, other are, you know. So no, I'm very, very white pilled. And like the Bitcoin being invented during the financial crisis by some of the, you know, inside the technology of Bitcoin, which is clearly from the NSA and the other government, you know, sector, shows us that there's people inside the machine who see what's going on, and God knows how they came to these conclusions or these, you know, these ideas, but they understood that like these forces are anti-human, okay, and we need to defend now our humanity. So we are the spearhead for humanity, because there's no other political solution. As you said, you know, all of the isms, democracy, communism, fascism, all of these shit is bullshit. You know, it's just a system with some rules. It may hold for 1,000 years, then it's gonna collapse. You know, so what is truly important is, again, you know, freedom, God, family. So with Bitcoin, you're basically building your future on sound ground, you know, and not on moving sand. So even if the world collapses around you, which might happen, we can't know how it's going to play out. You know, obviously these people have billions of dollars and do not care to murder. So like, we don't know how the showdown is going to go, but we know that now there's a pact, you know, and Bitcoiners, we multiply too. So every word we say online, you can't censor information. You know, you can stop it, you can slow it down, but information is there. So Bitcoin is that, it's information. You know, so you can't stop it. So yeah, I'm very, very enthusiastic for the next 50 years. And our whole company, Bull Bitcoin, our motto is destroy fiat. We want to destroy the Fed and the fiat. So Francis, our CEO, and by the way, Bull Bitcoin is an incredible story. I invite everybody to look into Francis Pouliot's talks and stuff like that.
Yeah, tell me about him. He founded it, right?
Yeah, and he's very based, and there's no investors. It's only one person-owned company by him on the Bitcoin standard. The volume now is huge. I don't even want to speculate on numbers. We're in multiple countries, and it was all done in a self-made man, you know, started from the bottom on the Bitcoin standard, growing up, and eventually having our own wallet and doing other stuff. So because we invest always in the innovation, R&D and stuff like that. So our company is the living proof that you can build a whole future on Bitcoin. Look my CEO. Look at this profile picture of my CEO, man. How many CEOs do people have? Like, this is my boss. Okay, this is the dude with who I work. You know, like, and I'm like the least crazy at Bull Bitcoin, the least based and the least knowable. So that's great. You know, these guys are amazing human beings. They know a lot. I learned from each of them on various subjects. And, you know, again, we do not agree on everything. Like, I'm from Yugoslavia. He's Quebec-born, Alberta separatist, you know. So, but it's okay. We can align with the most important things that can help us build a civilization. And this is where I'm going. We Bitcoiners are building the civilization. That's what we're doing. This media is part of that civilization. This is part of the media of the Bitcoin civilization. So when you go and you listen to a Bitcoiner podcast, you're going to get some based information. You're going to know the real situation about geopolitics. You're going to know the real shit. Okay. It's not going to be a bunch of boomers wearing ties and playing around with words and, like
I'm going to hedge my bets. Yeah.
He was a very serious contender, but when he came, a lot of people said, like, they say the words that mean nothing. Like, I can talk like that. I was in politics for 10 years. I could talk to you for 3 hours without telling you absolutely anything. and you're going to find me lovable, because this is the skill. Words are so powerful that they will bamboozle you. And now the whole generation is bamboozled into these people that watch CNN and that follow it. And another funny things they do, all the numbers are obviously fake. So they're going to release these like inflation fake numbers. And it's always going to be like a point up, a point down. And it's going to be playing on fucking 0.5s, and like the inflation went slightly up to 3.5%. And then you look and your chicken went up 20%. You're like, what the fuck is these people talking about? My chicken cost me 20% more, because it's all the spin. It's all, no, your chicken is not 20% more expensive, baby. It's only you. You're imagining things, It's all cool. There's no Epstein list. It's a hoax,
You're still talking about that?
Yeah, warp speed too? Oh, I love this camera.
let me, if I do this, there we go. I need to turn that off. If I do this, it's supposed to blink and stop. Okay, there we go. I'm good. Sorry about the camera.
No, I love this effect.
Yeah, if I make motions, it'll like say, "Oh, you want me to do something?" And I'm like, "No." Anyway, AI is reading me all throughout this podcast.
Yeah.
No, and almost also like inflation itself is just normal and natural. Inflation's good, actually. Inflation itself is a natural phenomenon. When in fact, with technology, with AI and all this stuff, the natural state of things, like Jeff Booth speaks to.
Yeah.
The natural state of things should be deflationary.
5%, he says, in the price of tomorrow.
A year.
Yeah, a year.
So how are things not insanely more affordable? Think about the productivity of humans these days in our jobs with the internet. We've gone from like writing letters and faxing things and mailing things and doing carbon copies of paper to just zap, zap, zap. And like, we are so capable now, and yet things are more expensive and we're working harder. It's crazy.
Jeff, when he says that the natural deflation is 5%, it made me realize that they not only steal the 20% of the inflation, they also steal the 5% of gains that we do by being more productive. So these people are truly assholes, But it's because it's not about productivity, it's about control. So to them, they will work you to death if they can. And it's never going to stop. Like in Zimbabwe, it went from Rhodesia, a functioning country, to Zimbabwe, a completely failed state. And it's still a country, and people still go to work and still pay whatever they pay. If they pay taxes, I don't know. But like, there's no one point of time where the crooked assholes say it's enough, because they can always steal the scraps, and they will steal your scraps, even though they just stole 4 trillions. They also want the $10 that you have left, So it's only when the people say that it's enough, that it's enough. And all of the revolutions are connected also. Like what you said a little bit about Stalin, the civil war there, the White Russians and everything. Even Lenin, in his mausoleum, he has the red flag on him, which is the red flag from the Commune of Paris. That was the revolt in Paris that led to the Napoleon and all of the European wars, and him changing a lot of the laws to permit usury and to empower even further the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds made their fortune in Waterloo. They lied about the issue of the battle on the English stock market. So these people are fucking criminals since time immemorial. You understand? Everything's rigged. It's all rigged.
That Rothschild family, now this is a historical rabbit hole, and you love history, and you study a lot of history.
I do.
And I love the long form podcasts that get into all that history, even way back, like Macedonia and Alexander the Great and all that. But not often do you hear things about, say, the history of the Rothschilds, the earliest banks, the earliest central banks, the banks they had in all these countries all around Europe that all worked together and had couriers and pigeons, and before there was the internet or the telegraph, they were quick at they figured out systems of having their own ledger, managing paper, tracking gold and reserves, and loaning to kings and at interest. And they had those tentacles all over the place. And then with Napoleon and the Battle of Waterloo, they played a huge game in the city of London. Well, they created the city of London, but they were in the markets. And it was like, they were kind of like selling. And people were like, oh my gosh, the Rothschilds are selling. So everybody started selling, and then they bought it all.
Yeah.
And then they took control. And then, the famous quote of like, we care not who passes the laws as long as we control the money. Yeah. And the city of London is not like the city of London. It is a castle on a block that you can't go into. Oh, well, here we go again.
It's Palantir telling you that they see you.
Yeah. When I make a point, it's like, oh, that's important.
I like that.
I got to fix this camera. Anyway, so that was I made a major point there, but yeah. So people think, oh, conspiracy theory, the Rothschilds. Oh, okay. Well, no, seriously, folks, we're talking centuries old, big central banking here. And it was a family fairly inbred for a while, but maybe they broke away from that. But to this day, whether it was the Federal Reserve Act or to this day, banks that we see now, there are generations of the same lineages that are still in control with the same attitudes about their farm.
Yeah. And by the way, another connection, Nikola Tesla, okay, who was his biggest rival? Nikola Tesla was a famous Yugoslavian that went to America, became a naturalized American, lived a life there, ended his days.
Who is that again?
Nikola Tesla.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. He was an American Yugoslavian. His arch rival that sabotaged all of his work on free energy and everything that he did. And Nikola Tesla basically invented the electric current as we know him. And he didn't even use the deals to take his billions. He left it to the people. He wasn't motivated.
He wasn't good at business because he was just making stuff and being like.
He just wanted to be left alone in his lab, but they burnt his lab 3 times. And who did it is JP Morgan. And at his deathbed, we found out that JP Morgan was 75% owned by the Rothschilds. So he was just their bud boy, another one. So, and then you see that JP Morgan was owning the Titanic, that they exploded. There's no fucking ice, Why? Listen, all of the stories that we grew up with, all of the things that they bomb us with, like Anne Frank, Titanic, all of these, there's some of these things that always seem to come back, and they like Waterloo is one of them, like it's right. They do it to boast. These are their victories of the shadow government, and this will be studied in the future. A small country conquering a big country and then the whole of a continent is the first time this happens. That they operated through, only the financial and shadowy way. This will be studied. This has never happened before. The Sumerians never conquered Babylon without waging war and going there with the troops. So it's really amazing how they did it. They used Hollywood to brainwash you into a certain narrative. They used the Fed to buy anybody that they can buy and to destroy anything that can be destroyed. So they used all of these various tools in a very insidious way to get to this point where we are today. So that's how we got here.
Here's a motto from an agency that I shall reveal. Maybe you know it. By way of deception, you shall wage war.
Yeah, exactly.
Mossad.
Yeah, exactly. And they say it he went on ABC and he said it last year. Like like one of their biggest mistakes is they are always arrogant in victory. And it's something that repeats constantly. It happened over 1,000 times. And the golden age of Spain started when they got kicked out. And what did they went on to do? They started the Atlantic slave trade. So Spain kicks them out. They start the Atlantic slave trade. They based in Holland and in the Dutch Republic, where they organize these private owned bank and militaries, that are kind of So it's always the same shit. Today it's called BlackRock, but yesterday it was called the Dutch tulip assholes. I don't know how it was called, but it's the patterns. It's like that's why I go always back. There's only two sides, people. And Tito, for example, was a communist, but he's on the good side because he did not murder unjustly. He gave a system that he thought good, even though he did it by mistake and it didn't work out. So it's always two systems. There's the evil and the good. And when you see how it works, it's like good always rebuilding and prospering and thriving, and then the evil comes in, puts shit, division, imports a bunch of Somalians and does shit, and then they get kicked out. They start. So it's a cat and mouse game since time immemorial. Since the earth is created.
Same old.
And by the way, I can go back as far as the court of Justinian in the Roman Empire, where the Khazarians were placing generals and playing politics there. And I know the battles and the countries and who conquered who and why did it happen. So like when you see history you see that it's all one after the other. It's not like something that happens out of the context here. No, if the British went there and did that, it's because the French or the Spanish and this happened and before. It's the whole of the history is connected.
That's very interesting. Yes, it goes way back as far as we can nearly track it.
Yeah.
Let me mention, so my good friend Daniel White, he's the grand poobah of MicroSeed here. And I've known him for years, but he's writing a book right now. He wrote one book called The Great Realignment, where basically Bitcoin is growing its roots into the traditional system, and the TradFi and government systems have no choice but to eventually get aligned with new incentives. He's writing another book right now. It's in process. He's making good headway on it. It gets into the deepest origins of what is money. Basically, what is money? Where did money come from? So a standard idea we have, it's Adam Smith, and Lynn Alden in her book, Broken Money. It's like, well, it was like a way to create a medium of exchange. And so instead of bartering, you had a way to trade in a token or a coin to make barter easier. So like it was originated from just a human need, like for a commodity theory is that you need a commodity. There's a creditist theory is that it was it was a means to track debts. And then chartalists can say that, well, sovereigns ultimately took control of money and, lend to the people and demand taxes and money. There's a lot of, commoditist, creditist, and chartalist theories on money.
Yeah.
Now, if you go way, 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 way back, you're talking like early, like Macedonia, Babylon, the Sumerian cuneiform, like clay tablets and cuneiform, early writings. A lot of those earliest forms of writing it wasn't just, who had what land and all this stuff. It was tracking debt.
Yeah, it was ledgers. Yeah.
So basically, when we moved from being, people would travel and move and live off the land and weren't settled in like before agriculture.
Nomads, yeah.
So nomadic life was the way we like lived. And then the invention of agriculture, the need for kind of a fixity in your location, where instead of like going from field to field or game run to game run, fish run to fish run,
you know why we stopped? For beer. We stopped to produce beer for barley.
We collected grain and then brewed it. Yeah.
We stopped. We settled because of the beer. Because then we had to protect our small plot of land to have the things ferment and to have our alcohol. That's why we stopped being nomads.
We had to sit and think. What is it? Benjamin Franklin said, beer is proof that God loves us.
Yeah, no, but it is like beer. I just drank a beer. I love beer. But beer is something that's really old, and when you look at the history, it's really closely attached of our way of life and why we made some of the decision and even the mysteries, which will bring us the Greek philosophies and the Stoicism and all of this. It was a shroom that would grow on the barley, and rot, and they would take this magic shroom and it would make hallucinations. And the Athenians and the Greeks, because you talk about them, they all, the elites, they all passed through this ritual. They had to do it once. It was called the Mysteries. And they would go on the north of Athens in the grotas there, when there were priestesses and elaborated rituals where they would have this drink of beer with shrooms inside, and they would have ecstatic visions, and then they would become better statesmen and better politicians and more courageous also, because the shrooms, they gave us courage too, when
it definitely it tears down the walls in your mind of, it opens up creativity, new ideas, breaks shackles free. You're just like, it promotes a certain kind of leadership, based reality thinking, I guess you'd say. Psychedelics throughout human history promoting wild creativity, and it may have like opened up intelligence.
Well, I see the shrooms as our grandfathers. I see them like an ancestral entity that lives on this planet. They're 4.5 billion years old. We share a lot of our DNA with the shrooms, and the shrooms, the psilocybin is also the internet of the soil. So they will transfer the trees will barter in shrooms. They will transfer energy between them so that the lower trees can grow. And if you see in the forest, no one tree will touch itself. Well, how do they know that? It's because the shrooms, 30% of your soils is psilocybin that connects the nature. So when you take a shroom, you give him control over your body for 8 hours. And during that control, he will show you what he wants to show you. So depending on the stream of the shroom that you take, and depending on what you're trying to solve, if you're a sick person, if you have a anxiety or whatever, well, it's going to target that. And one of the things, because during the Memorial Day and the Veteran Day, I go sometimes to sing to the veterans and have dinners with them. And to the older guys, mostly, that are in a hospice, but the younger guys, they come there, because they show their respect. And some of the younger guys are broken by war. They've seen some shit and their head is not PTSD to the max. So I tell them always, like, did you try the shrooms before you blow your fucking head off on some bullshit, garbage that you're going to get prescribed? Try to meditate, go to the church, pray, and take a hero dose of shrooms, and this is not advice to anybody at home, but like I say that to them, and some that have listened, it has changed their mind, because it unplugs you and plugs you back into the matrix. And the moment that it unplugs you and puts you back in, well, you have the big picture of what the fuck it is, So during that brief second.
Yeah, it can be quite an ego death experience.
Yeah,
I've known many veterans who were prescribed medically microdosing of psilocybin, the chemical at least. But it can reprogram your brain, and you can just be like, oh, okay, like I'm okay, or open up areas of hope and creativity for you.
Absolutely.
If you're open to these kinds of conversations, so we're getting out there. So there's DMT or ayahuasca. I've never done these things. I've only heard about them. But what's weird about it is that people from different walks of life, different backgrounds, when they go and do that, they experience like the same vivid world.
Yeah.
So like there's some sort of connection at that level, that it's like, oh, you enter this world that isn't just like, well, I had my own little weird trippy experience, but like they're seeing something that is shared by many different people that have done the same thing.
Well, these things are real. I mean, how there's always like the natural world, like the earth, versus the divine, let's say, which is not of this world. The divine, Jesus said, I am not of this world. Okay, my Father is not he's the creator of this world, but in this world there are things that are very ancient that have been here for time immemorial. Ayahuasca is one of them. So this is an entity, might be a demon, might be a jungle, whatever, but it's definitely true. Okay, so I would not recommend these types of solutions, because this is very drastic. So,
not financial advice.
and I know somebody, by the way, that went and did it and died. And this
Oh,
person, I
really?
went to the high school with him, and he's dead. So he got killed because you
Oh.
expose yourself to danger when you're in the jungle doing drugs with people that you
Mm.
don't know that may want to rob you. And
Mm.
before you find the real experience, there's a thousand traps. We're talking into the Brazilian jungles. So if you ever consider doing something like that, like this is not even fucking Baltimore. This is worse. So be very, very careful how you set that thing up. So
Gotcha.
listen, knowledge, you can find knowledge in the earth. The earth has a lot of the knowledge. You will not find the divine, because the thing is, we leave this earth where everything dies here. Our body will die. We will die. We will go back to our natural state, which is the energy. The soul is eternal. So that's why if you're looking for the answers in the earth, which is also gonna die, maybe in a longer period of time. The earth is maybe gonna last 5,000 years, but it's still gonna die. Well, you're it's like you're asking your cats for answers. It's not gonna know something, even though cats know a lot of stuff about a lot of stuff. So that's how I see it. And people are sometimes they get lost, they got spiritually depleted, and they want like the solution, like the one fixes all. So they're gonna go from nothing to do ayahuasca without even smoking a joint and praying and meditating or doing some shrooms easy in a controlled environment. Some easier things that you can do before. Some people have never done anything and they go to there and do ayahuasca. Like it can also make you go crazy, because I don't know what's your state of mind, and how these entities are gonna use you or control you. And one of the things that the ayahuasca does, that I've heard from people that did it, it says to the people to bring it other people. So it tells them bring the other people. So like what's fucking ayahuasca's real motive here? I don't trust it. I only trust Jesus. That's where I want to go.
Yeah,
so
and that's what I'm not sure about.
It always go back to this old rule of mine. Like if I'm not sure, I'll just go back to trusting only Jesus. And then I'll be sure.
I know. Yeah. So because there could be energies, spirits, powers in the world that have their own agenda, if you will.
Yeah.
We at a ground level, we've talked about the money being fake as it is.
Yeah.
We've also talked about the bigger picture, and here we are in this little dot way out here in this big universe here. When you think expansively about the universe, and now I'm only bringing it up because I heard it mentioned once before on a podcast you were on. We have had various evidence or reports. I've had my own experience, which I don't need to get into, but people will see things in the sky. People will. There are military reports of the UAPs, the UFOs, that kind of stuff. How do you reconcile kind of like what that may be, or the giant universe we live in, with, say, your personal beliefs? What is going on there? What do you think?
Yeah. Well, listen. First of the question is, do you think there's a firmament, or do you think that there's no firmament? Okay. There's two theories. The theories of the Bible, that there's a firmament and that we're like in a Christmas ball type of thing. The Sumerians, they thought that we were in a dish that was floating into space. Again, some kind of a dish, with the stars above us, and many more cultures. But now the modern theory about the planets going around and the galaxy going and this thing, like, I don't know. I don't know. And I think that they're lying a lot about a lot of this stuff. Okay. And like, I'm pretty sure that we did not go to the moon, but I can understand why they did that, because like the goal was to beat let's say the Cold War and to build
Cold
the Soviet.
War.
Yeah, it's a propaganda, because I'm sure of that, because Kubrick on his deathbed, you can find it on YouTube. You listen to Kubrick say that he did that and he's sorry that he did that. He betrayed the American people because he lied to them, and he was obviously feeling bad. But at the same time, he was proud of it. He said that it was his most important work that he did. So they literally used Stanley Kubrick, and the deal they made him is they told him, if you do this for us, we will let you make one movie, and this movie we will not censor it. So the movie that he decided to make, it was a movie about pedophiles and the elite
Eyes
called
Wide
Eyes Wide
Shut.
Shut.
Yeah.
So when he showed it to the Hollywood Jewish execs, he was outside of the cinema where it was showed in premiere to them. They just stood up and stormed out of the room without saying anything to Stanley Kubrick. He was the hottest thing in Hollywood at the time. Okay, and a few days or weeks later, he was dead, and the movie got 30-minute chopped. So the 30-minute they chopped was about the children. They kept the rest and they changed it. But one of the guys who shot the pictures with Kubrick that worked on the movie, he said that the movie looks nothing like the final cut that Kubrick made. You know, it has drastically changed. It's not the same movie, you know. So they've changed so much in the movie that it's not even the same movie. But they kept like the good things that Kubrick. So it's a great movie still. I would recommend it. So basically, I'm telling you that because when I see it's only scams. NASA, it's a big scam. The initial asshole in NASA was a Nazi that they brought from Germany, you know. And then it's a big hole of cash. Where did this money go really? What did they really do? And also when they tell you, yeah, we went to the moon, but we lost the technology. It cost us $100 billion and we lost the technology. Oh yeah, how the fuck do you lose $100 billion technology? It should be in 10 museums, you know? So it makes no sense. So if they lied about that, they probably lied about everything. So at this point, I'm at a point where I know that the sun is in the sky and it's shining bright and it's hot. I know that the moon is there. By the way, I don't think the moon is a rock. I think moon is made of plasma, like the sun. I think it's a living thing there, you know, and I think that the sun is alive, and I think that the moon is alive, and I think that everything is alive in this planet. The trees are alive, your plants are alive. When you see the plants, you just film your plants at your house in a slow camera, and then you accelerate what you saw. You're gonna see that the plants are there. They dance around. If you put music, they're gonna jiggle. It's just they're in another dimension. So they do it really slowly. So all of this to bring back to your question, I think that there's many more entities around us in these dimensions that we cannot see. Some pass through us, you know, they don't care about us the same way that we pass next to ants and that we don't care. But let's not diminish ourselves. We are made in the image of God. And God came to this earth and gave himself for us so that we can become better humans and more godly, more divine, become gods, you know, in a way, ourselves, mini gods on this planet. Because what he wants is for us to love each other and to bring this holy, you know, good energy to this world, because this world is Eden. The world that was given to Adam and Eve is this world. And you can see it. The moment you leave nature, like during COVID, we left nature alone for a year and everything was growing back. The jungles, the fishes were everywhere. Everything was blue, you know, because the owners of the current system, they do not only wage a war against us, they wage a war against life itself. So they destroy the animals, they destroy the beaches, they destroy everything, you know, because they are killers. They are destroyers, you know. They are of another entity, of the opposing side. So they want to destroy, okay? They want to farm. Imagine the sickness in your head when you steal a $4 trillion and it's not enough, but at the same time, you're going to die. And even if you spend $1 million daily sniffing cocaine out of hookers' asses, you will never spend $4 trillion. You can spend it in 10 lifetimes. So just imagine how these people are twisted. It's not even about them having, it's about us not having. You know? And the pig farms now, when a pig is born, they rip his teeth out of the pig. And they put it, and we eat this. So it's in our food, it's in our sky, it's in our TV. They poison us. We eat this fucking bad juju everywhere, you know? And that's what we need to understand, to reject, and to try to fix by going to your local farmer, by growing your own food. Like if you have your own garden, okay, and you piss in a corner, you're outside, you know, gardening, and you take a piss in the corner, the ground is going to absorb your urine, and it's going to see the minerals you're lacking, and your vegetables are going to produce these minerals for you. So this is how nature works. God gave us this planet to us, not to have some asshole sell us seeds that cannot reproduce, that are toxic, and this pesticides everywhere, people with cancer and this garbage. This is not, this is man-made.
Yeah, God is love, nature is love, nature loves us, and it tolerates us pretty darn well and is resilient. And I totally hear what you're saying. You covered a lot of stuff there. And jumping back, if I may, to Kubrick. You got me going thinking about Kubrick there.
But so it's all connected, as you see. So
it's all connected.
It's all connected.
The Matrix and escaping the Matrix.
Absolutely.
So let's see. Kubrick, he made Dr. Strangelove. The part. So here's my understanding behind Kubrick. The Department of Defense was like wowed by Dr. Strangelove and the special effects at the time that he did with the bombers and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they're like, we need a guy who can do these kinds of movies. He had invented a new, I think they called it rear projection screen. So you could have oh, here we go again. So you could have a, come on, video camera. There we go. So you could have a foreground with a huge, amazing, beautiful background that you didn't have to have painted and all this stuff. It could be projected and it could be animated.
Yeah.
And he did that a bit. So Dr. Strangelove, then, okay, we need a guy who can do this to fake moon landing footage. Whether we went to the moon once or not, a whole bunch of shit was fake. And that was the Cold War race. Got to beat the Russians. Got to show them that we're dancing on the moon. And it's like, okay. But we sure beat Russia, didn't we? And then making up for Sputnik.
Yeah.
And then, so then he went on to make 2001, the movie 2001. You can see all this front foreground stuff with rear projection in the background. And it was like amazing, special effects. He did, weirdly, interestingly, he made the movie The Shining.
Yeah.
So there is a bunch of stuff in The Shining that is totally crazy.
About the
metaphors there we could go into for a long time, but basically NASA is totally referred there. You know, Operation Paperclip, Werner von Braun and these Nazi scientists that came over and did rocketry. What the heck is NASA all about anyway? So all these metaphors where Stephen King wrote the book, Kubrick made a movie on it, had a lot of artistic freedom, and changed little details that were not necessarily necessary.
Yeah.
And I guess I could go into a whole bunch of stuff about it, but basically that big hotel was like the puzzle palace of the deep state, full of ghosts and creeps and demons. And there's references in there to some of the pedophilia, the furries, the parties. And basically, hey, if you want to join the club, take a drink, Jack. And Kubrick himself, he was stuck making these movies, all work and no play, make Jack a Doughboy. And he was trying to escape that without getting killed. They changed the number of the door of the room where that ghost was, where when the little kid is riding his trike down the hallway, it's kind of a metaphor for Kubrick just being an artist and loving to make movies. He stops and he sees the ghosts. There's twins. Now in the book, they were not twins. It was something else, but it refers to the Gemini program. The Gemini before Apollo. There's the Gemini twins down at the end of the hallway, and they're like, join us, come play with us. And the little kid is crouched down on the floor, and he's got a sweater that says Apollo, and it's a rocket ship. And he slowly stands up, and Apollo launches, and then he walks down the hallway, this long hallway, and I can't remember the room number. There's a documentary about the number of the room, but it's the number of miles in thousands of miles to the moon. And then he opens the door entering the moon. And then there's this demon and all the things. So anyway, there are so many things in that are allegorical to NASA and the space program and basically the movies he was making. After that, he'd done his job. He was staying quiet about it. He survived, I guess you'd say, up until Eyes Wide Shut.
Yeah. That was his prize move. But he knew that this movie was gonna upset a lot of people. He knew that. But comes a point in a man's life where you've been around and now you don't give a fuck anymore, and that was what he did. But the whole thing about the moon, when you see the people that were supposedly just went to the moon, like the astronauts go out, and they all have sad faces, they all feel ashamed. You can see their shame. The first interview that they gave to the American people, like coming back from moon, you would think they would be ecstatic, happy, smiling, cheerful, patriotic. No. They were all fucking pale faces and stuff. And also the first guy that was like the Captain America they were branding for the moon, they killed him. He was killed he was during one of the training, he got burned, so because he decided not to go along. So this is the thing that we need to understand when we're critical of Trump and the other people. And I always remind myself this, we're not in their shoes. And this is like our ancestors were fighting pagans and genocidal emperors, and despots. But today we're fighting the devil himself. These people are scary. So when you enter this room like Kubrick, on your little bicycle, and you're whoever you are, you're a general, you're a president, you're a movie star, whatever, and you see this level of evil, like it's not like an easy decision to make, so but then again, you need to remind yourself what's the whole point. You want to keep your soul or you want to keep your life. So these are not easy questions, to be asked.
In that movie, it wasn't in the book. In the book, there were like these bushes that were landscaped as animals and they would move. In the movie, Kubrick changed it to that maze, and it was a bush, or I don't know what you call it, but a garden maze, and it was like you enter the maze and you can't find your way out, you can't get out, and so Kubrick was able to kill the Jack character in his life that was stuck in the maze and survive as a child to continue to create movies. It's the Puzzle Palace, and so. And yeah, what was it? The CIA was all over the launch pad when that fire happened and that astronaut burned up.
They're everywhere. It's all a big fucking show. It's all theater for the. Napoleon said something. He said, in every system, power is concentrated on the top, and the rest is theater for the masses. And it's true. You see at the communist China or capitalist America or Venezuela or whatever, like there's a clique that holds the power. Okay, so who's the clique? We know who's the clique. So just look who you can criticize. Just look who's getting rich and who's getting that jail out of free card, and you understand who rules over you. And so that's the system. So now we have a global clique. So these people, like they say it openly, that we are eaters. They want to reduce us from 8 billion to 500 million. So this is 7.5 billion people they want to reduce. They want to destroy. They say they want us to eat bugs, to own nothing, and they want us to get implanted with the AI, or they have their whole fucking plan, dressed up for us. So now it's up to us to say fuck you and to create something much, much better and on the Bitcoin standard, and to keep the real politics in mind. That's why we're going to use the technology. That's another cool thing about Bitcoiners, is that we are technologically savvy, and you need that. Like if you're a left-wing communist or whatever, you have no fucking idea what money is. So even if you take control over a country by violence, everybody's gonna die of hunger, and they're eventually gonna kill you too, or whatever. It's not because you don't understand money. So us Bitcoiners, we don't even need to seize the country to change the system. We're changing it already. We're changing it in El Salvador. By the way, I want to show this to your public. The best close range weapon is a machete.
Wow.
So I have this one. I always love the El Salvador freedom. They're very freedom oriented crest. So I got this from a ex-girlfriend of mine that was from El Salvador. But basically, so we are changing the system slowly. One farmer at a time, one banker at a time, me and you, our family. So slowly, we win. At the end, we win.
Bitcoin fixes the transhumanist nihilist FUD. And now I'm going to be in El Salvador next month. January 6th-ish to the 12th. Max and Stacy have this golf invitational thing. MicroSeed helped sponsor that, but so
Nice.
you love El Salvador, I believe.
Yes. Yeah. I
Any
love
advice?
Stacy. Stacy is the queen. Stacy.
Stacy is awesome. She's got quite a story. I know a lot of people are attracted to Max because he's torn up the Bills and been out there shouting. And I love Max, but Stacy, maybe a little behind the scenes, has been
Yeah.
a rock for him, and
She's amazing. Hard. Both of them. I love it. He blocked me because I made a joke about his testicles without knowing he might have an issue or whatever. And then somebody was like, "Bro, you have to unblock Yugocana. He loves you and he supports you." And then he unblocked me.
He blocked you? Oh, he unblocked you.
Now he unblocked me again. Okay. Because I didn't know. I sometimes write stupid shit. It's not. I'm not like I post.
So you're just shit posting, man.
I don't shit post. I'll smoke a joint, I'll shit post. I'm working, I'll shit post. I'll be doing something, I'll shit post, and I'll be traveling and shit posting because I try just, to show to the people you're your own boss. You can do it your own way. Now you have the tools. We're getting stronger. There's a community, and Bitcoiners are really lovely people. They're gonna support you. I love El Salvador, and I wish the president the best. They've done some amazing stuff. These criminals that they've jailed are satanists. They were sacrificing children and doing satanic rituals. And the judges were setting them free. So he had to jail the judges too. So that's what he said, Bukele. He said, if you want to fix America, it's without the judges, you're not going to be able to fix anything. And we're seeing it, how rotten it is. So, but Stacy, I don't know her history, but I follow her online. I've been to her speeches in live. I've saw and her energy. She's the to me, she's the first lady of Bitcoin. That's how I see her. So
she works hard.
Yeah.
She has worked hard for years in the media, television, and movies and production.
Yeah.
Met Max and basically gave Max a lot of skills and support to do their show and all. I mean, she's a dynamo. Yeah. Any advice? I've never been to El Salvador, so any advice for me going to El Salvador and enjoying it?
Yeah, at the airport, when you go out, go to the right side when you exit, and there's gonna be a little fast food restaurants around. Start your trip by eating a papusa, locally made. So this is their signature food. It's gonna get you in the vibe, Okay. You can get the Bitcoin driver that I follow if you want him to go pick you up at the airport. I did that. You can pay in Bitcoin or in cash if you want. So it's a Bitcoin card that comes for you. If you're in San Salvador, the Uber is really not expensive. It's like for $5 you can go across the city. San Salvador has among the most beautiful trees I've seen in a city. Like downtown, you're gonna see the largest tree you ever saw in your life, and there's many of them. So that's amazing. And like the Bitcoin beach is really cool. You can walk around and chill. There's no violence. There's nobody's gonna rob you. You can walk the night. It's totally safe now.
How did you travel, like say from San Salvador or outskirts to the beach and get a Bitcoin taxi?
I got a Bitcoin taxi, yes, to go to Bitcoin Beach. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. There's little details I just have to think through. I've just never been there, so.
Yeah, but you're gonna love it, and it's not so big. So there's a few places. I was there at the halving party with Max and Stacy.
Yeah,
that was in that nice hotel. There were some people from Bukele that were there, some OG Bitcoiners. It was really fun, and it was my first conference. Listen, I was 10 years in government. Okay, the genocide in Gaza starts. I finished my job after 10 years. My family tells me you're fucking crazy. You have a son, you have stuff you have to pay. What are you doing?
You need to be responsible.
You have to be responsible. I said, listen, God will provide. So I just give my resignation. I write on LinkedIn, the inflation is not going anywhere, buy Bitcoin, and I leave it as that. I go to El Salvador, my first ever conference, and I say, I'm just going to make some Bitcoin friends. And while I'm there, I have Mathieu Bussière from Bull Bitcoin, the COO, the Chief Operating Officer, that writes to me. He's like, are you in Canada? I'm like, yeah. He's like, you want to have a coffee? There's one Bitcoin only, the coffee shops that accepts Bitcoin in Quebec City. Let's meet there. And the rest was history. So
awesome.
I had no plan, and Bitcoin went, because that's the thing, If God can feed all of the birds in the forest, all of the squirrels and the fishes and all of these animals out there that have to eat every day, He's going to take care of you too, you know. Sometimes we're too scared because we're too used to something. And obviously I was 10 years in government. I had the golden parachute and all of this stuff, you know. But I didn't want to become a lobbyist or some garbage like that, you know, some schmoozer. So I knew from that point that I was unemployable anymore. Like when you become a Bitcoin maximalist, as I became, and so much also Jesus pilled in an environment that's really cold and really not Jesus pilled, and like the wars, and like I was like an elephant in a room, you know. It made no sense that I was there anymore, you know.
I see.
So I had to leave, and then I would say to my wife even before, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do any job anymore. I can't work anymore in this fiat system. The only job I can do now is Bitcoin.
In Bitcoin.
Is the only job I can do now, and I knew that at that point. So and it's true. And like today with Bull Bitcoin, man, sometimes I don't even know if I'm working or not. You know, I don't even look.
You're just living and breathing Bitcoin, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. That's what I'm doing. I'm traveling, talking about Bitcoin. I accept every podcast. Anybody wants to talk to me up, like not every sometimes there's some, you know, some weird stuff that I won't accept. But if you're a Bitcoiner, you want to talk about Bitcoin or geopolitics or anything, I'll always say yes. I'll go and I'll try to, you know, give you my spin and make you think about some things.
Well, on that note, I super appreciate you being on my podcast. And I know you've been very generous with your time, well over 2 hours here.
Thank you.
We can, is there anything that I haven't mentioned or that you'd like to talk about that should be talked about?
No, but we can talk again in the future. Yeah. There's much more to be built. You know, I think it's enough for the people today. We've talked about so much things. They can re-listen and try to, you know, sometimes you listen to something and you can't quite understand what was being discussed, because me and you, we had some inside information about some of these subjects that your listeners might not have. So I invite them to go down these rabbit holes, you know, and to find out about these things that we discussed, because this will lift the wheel for you. And the more you lift the wheel, at first you're not going to like what you see because it's all fake. But like me right now, I love it because everything is to build for us. Like I see it now as a world full of mystery. I see it as that we don't know anything about anything. So we need to find out, you know, what's going on and to make it better for our children. And man, I'm bullish. I'm bullish on us. I'm bullish on Bitcoiners, man.
I am too.
Yeah. Beautiful people.
Yeah. On a monetary and anti-fiat level, Bitcoin saves us physically in many ways, financially in so many ways. At a spiritual level, your faith and internal personal work on Divinity saves you through and through. So with the two together, they are quite compatible, if not maybe the same thing. So go out there
and then watch what you eat, watch what you listen, watch what you drink, filter your water, buy the toothbrush without the fluoride inside. Like, be very, very careful about what you put in your body, because you want to be healthy for your family. You want to be able to spend good time here to build this future. We need you here. We need everybody here. So take care of yourself. Don't go eat at a McDonald's at midnight. You know, you don't even know what the fuck you're eating. There's not enough cows for the hamburgers they sell. Okay, so you're not eating a cow. So like, be mindful of these things and know that it's all fucking trickery. And now once you go inside this Bitcoin you know, hole, well, it's going to open a bunch of other holes for you where you can, you know, try to make the best decision for you and your family.
Absolutely. Clean money, clean body, clear mental health, clean spirit.
Amen. Amen.
Amen, brother.
Thank you, man, for having me. Thank you so much.
Thanks for joining me. And until next time, folks, we'll do this again. Bye, everybody.
Bye.